So, Leslie, before we begin with the questions, tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you grew up, how you grew up, what you kind of went through, and where you are today.
Okay, I grew up in a family of 8 siblings. I was born in Malacca, just very near to the General Hospital. My father was a carpenter. My mom was a housewife. So we we sort of grew up in a squatters, and so my mom and dad, my mom don't work. She have to stay home to look after us.
Yes,
So
8 of you.
yeah, 8 of us. But unfortunately, my younger sister was given away. So they left 7 of us. When my sister was born, I think she was about a month old, and she was adopted by
Right.
someone. And so growing up in a kampong was pretty challenging, but I like it very much in a kampong life. So subsequently, my there was one time during the, I think, the early 80s, my dad lost his job. That was pretty tough. So that's when most of us would have to opt for to drop out of school. So I was dropped out of school when I was Form 2. So I start to work, and I have to travel to Singapore, and I do all sorts of jobs, from the working as a mechanics, and working in hawker centers, kopitiam, whatever job I can get my hands on, because my mom, in a way, wouldn't allow us to be like idling around at home.
Right.
So I have to work in a very young age. Yeah. So that's just roughly my background. Both my
Right.
parents are still around. My dad is in his late, I think he's approaching 80s right now. My mom is in her 70s. Yeah.
And so, can you sort of jump a little bit forward then and tell us sort of, what you went through as part of sort of your growing up
Yeah.
journey
Yeah.
on a sort of spiritual and secular sense that
Mm,
sort of kind of brought you to be the kind of person that we would be
mm,
interviewing today? Just a little
mm.
bit about that journey.
Um, what happened was, when I was 19, I became kind of a suicidal. I was like giving up hope in certain sense, because I was like not educated. I couldn't have a regular job, and I kind of feel I have this sense of low self-esteem about myself, and so I'm kind of feeling like giving up in my life. So I got a chance to go to church, and my sister invited me to church, and that's where the whole story turned around. I start to learn English. I learned to how to carry myself, how to work with others, and learn from the others. And there were a lot of people who actually cared for me over the years. I was growing up in church, and subsequently, I um, I went to the Bible school. I became a pastor for about 25 years. Yeah. So,
Wow, so you're a
so that
pastor for
was,
25
yeah,
years.
yes, I was. So, so in that 25 years, I have grown so much, and I have traveled a fair bit. I traveled to uh, some of the unthinkable places that I never dreamt of. Went to Sabah, Sarawak, into the interior, into the longhouses.
Mhm.
So that's where I have the connection with this man, Muhammad.
Mhm.
Some extent, and I'll explain to you why. And I have also worked with the NGOs, and there were a couple of occasions that I work as a activist. I conduct voters education, and during the general election, I was pretty much active in that. So until the last 3 years, then we were toiling the idea of whether should we move to Australia. We were just thinking about that, to move to Australia, because there was a job opportunity for me to be a pastor.
Mhm.
But it was so difficult because the requirement is so stringent. And so at the end, we explore, and I have to accept the fact that as much as work-wise, I'm qualified. experience-wise, I'm qualified, but I don't have papers. Okay, so I was a school dropout. I don't even have Form 5 to begin with. I don't have an SPM cert or whatnot. I just have a school leaver cert, and that's all I have.
Right.
And yeah, and I graduated from the Bible school, and that certificate is not recognized in a sense. Yeah, but I have worked with the poor, the downtrodden, the needy. I work with the addicts. I mean, you name it, over the years. So it is something that's natural for me. I guess it's not difficult for me to talk to somebody, even a stranger.
Well, I'm very glad to have met a soul like you, Les. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to start asking you some questions about why you're
Sure.
here today as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, your story's gone viral of how you've helped a homeless man down and
Yeah.
out on his luck get
Yeah.
a job at your petrol station. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about that day when he came in for a job?
Um, Actually, there were lots of people came to our station ask for a job. It's not just only the only one. The MCO one and subsequently the MCO follows. We were having people knocking on the window, the cashier window, walking straight into the office and say, I want to work here, and some were just begging for a job. It was so difficult to turn people away. But this man, he came one of the morning where I just arrived at work, and we were just thinking of wanting to hire another additional person to assist in the car wash that we already have for many years. But because there were the volume of vehicles that coming into the station has tremendously reduced, so we have to think about the cost and so on. So we sort but we felt so bad that we left this one guy who is managing a car wash by himself, and the other guy who actually used to work for us have left many months ago. So I said that I think we need to get another person to assist him, though it's going to cost us something, because sometimes the much that we collected is not enough to cover the cost, right? So I walk in the morning on my motorbike, and the car wash guy says, "Hey, Mr. Lee, and this guy who asking for a job. Would you want to talk to him?" I say, "Okay, great." I was just like wanting, we're gonna get somebody. Of course, there are many people who come and ask for a job. There are people who mostly say they're very selective. I want this kind of job. I want this kind of set. I want this kind of position. I said, no, 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 no. We don't have. We don't have. We don't have. But this guy walking in say, I don't mind take this job. I say, oh well, good. Sure, I would love to hire you, but today is Friday. I think the best that you start on a Monday. So that's how the whole conversation started. And I begin to probe further. I said, so if you want to work, you have to give me your ID so that I can get some basic information about you. So I saw the IDA from Sabah. I was kind of curious. I said, why in the world that, a stranger from Sabah and walk up to me and ask for a job?
In Malacca.
Yeah, Malacca. So I asked him specifically, I see which native tribe you are from. Yeah, because I know the Sabahan pretty good, right? Travel there quite a fair bit.
Yeah.
He said, I'm a Murut. Then I was like stunned for a moment, I was stunned for a moment because reason being, about some 25 years ago, I visited the village, one of the village in Pensiangan. If you drive to Keningau, which is Sabah, drive to Keningau, from Keningau town, you have to take a 4-wheel drive into the logging and the oil palm estate, about 5 hours drive, sitting on this bumpy road for 5 hours. Then you arrive this beautiful valley that's covered with greens, and this Murut tribe lives inside there. And the Murut tribes are the very shy people.
Right.
So I was there for about 5 days and lived with them. They look after us, they cook for us, they showing us to places, and we were doing some very basic medical aid where that we the stuff that we brought along and so on. So the Murut actually have a long story with me. See,
right.
So I say, wow, I say you're a Murut. I say, okay, good. I say you got a job there. I'm happy. I would love to hire you.
Because he wasn't picky, also in a way.
Yeah. And I looked at him. I noticed like something is not right, and he carried this little backpack. It doesn't look like an adult backpack. It's the size of the backpack, and I look down and look at his sandal. I think something is wrong because the sandal is way too small for him.
Right.
See, this guy must have some story to tell. Then I said, okay, you can come back on Monday. That's, I really want to have you to be part of the team. So I just conveniently asked him, I say, where do you live in Malacca? Then he was like reluctantly answering me saying, I'm going back to the bus station. I was like, okay, you going to the bus station to catch a bus, but where exactly you live? Then he said, I have no place to go. I actually sleep in a bus station. I was like shocked.
Wow.
I was like, for that moment, I was kind of taken aback. I said, how? I mean, I couldn't believe myself that he have to go back to the bus station and put a night there. So right then there, I say, okay, look, you don't have to go back now. You don't have to go back to the bus station. I said, why don't you start work now?
Oh, wait a minute. So you basically had sort of said to him, finding out that he was homeless, instead of asking him to start work on Monday, start him on Friday.
Yeah.
And then what about his home? I mean, what happened then?
Okay, so when I asked him for his ID, he took out his wallet, and while he was taking out his ID, I can see that he only had 1 ringgit left in his wallet.
Oh, bless.
So I was like, oh, I said, this must be horrible, for this guy, whatever he has gone through. So that's why I make a very quick decision. At least you work today. If I pay you some money, it's a cash, on the spot, I pay you. You have money for food. If you don't have a shelter, at least you have money for food. It won't be that bad,
right?
And it reminded me that when I was much younger, I slept in a bus stop before. So I sort of kind of, I felt, I can feel him. I empathize with him that, if I can do something that he don't have to feel hungry, at least, to begin with.
Yeah.
Wait, let's go back. What do you mean you slept in a bus stop as well?
Were you homeless for a time as well?
No, I was not homeless. I was like, that was a situation where it's basically just, I was like much younger, and I was like working in Singapore, and there was a transitions where I don't have money for bus ticket and all to come home, and I had money for a room, so there was a family situation.
Okay.
Right. So
now I have to
sympathize with this guy then.
Yeah, I have to sleep in the bus stop. It was like just horrible, although the bus stop is just safe to sleep and lie down there, but I can just identify with him, in his situation.
Well, how marvelous that of all the petrol stations and of all the managers to bump into, it was you that he came to find. Right?
Yeah, our station, our motto is to have a close contact with the customers. So I play a very important role as a HR manager and also as a customer service manager, that I go out, reach out to my customer. So for Muhammad case, it's just an isolated incident, and actually there were many other incidences that I personally went and help them and reach out to them, the people who came to the station with various needs, not just only the customer, but strangers at large.
So, okay, so just let's continue with the story, because I'm just gripped. So he comes, and you realize the desperate situation he's in, having to sleep and live in a bus station. You want to make sure he's got money in his pocket for food, so you invite him to start work immediately. So what then happens at the end of the first work day with him?
So the first work day, of course, the common sense tell me that you can give him money for food, but he need a shelter, right? So I quickly sort of figure out how am I going to find a room for him immediately today itself. So I spoke to the other car wash guy, who also not a local. Okay, he has been working for us for many months since last year. So in the place where he lived, there is a vacant room. Apparently, somebody just moved out. So I asked him, is there a room available in your place? He Say, yes, there is a vacant room. Somebody just moved out a couple of days ago. So I say, can you give me the landlord number? I call up the landlord. I say, I want this room today. Okay, so I pay for it. So I paid for the rent. I paid for the deposit. I say, look, Muhammad, you can go home with this guy. You go home and you go and stay there first. Then we figure out the rest later. So you got food, you got shelter. So these are the things that, I managed to got hold for him. So he went home. Then I informed my management team. I informed my family. You must understand, my wife is my boss currently.
Right. Okay.
Well, that sounds right. That sounds correct. Yeah.
My father-in-law just passed away just before the MCO one. So I came in as one of the staff, actually assisting my wife. So because my wife have to shoulder the entire business.
Right.
So my part is to assist her in the area of talking to customers and figure out new businesses, and also to sort of attend to some of the day-to-day issues that the station have to face. Yeah. So Muhammad worked the first day itself. So I got some. I call home to my wife, and my wife is at home saying, "What, you hired somebody?" Usually we have to like inform my management team, and sort of we cannot straight away approve. And next thing was like involved, like we have to pay for his rent, we have to pay for his deposit and so on. So I took it upon myself. I said, I don't have to like ask the company, so I use my own money. I say, okay, don't worry, I got that sorted out. Important thing that he got a place to go to. So my wife brought some t-shirts, or my son's t-shirts. You saw my son, right? He's pretty huge.
Yes.
T-shirts and his old some used clothing, and some of the personal items, toothbrush and toothpaste. We thought that will be something that he might need immediately, so we brought to the office and gave it to him, and he was kind of taken aback. It was like, you guys are giving me a job and give me room and give me things. I said, look, this is the least I can do. I said, because the Murut people hosted me and took care of me, the team. And I almost died during the trip in Sabah. So I was kind of, in a way that I felt that I'm indebted in a way, but at least that I can do is to look after one of theirs that came to my station. So it's a pretty amazing encounter for me. Of course, the whole story was just very brief on Facebook, because I was reluctant to post this up on Facebook because I do not know what kind of a reaction it might get. Definitely it will inspire some, but I do not know what kind of reaction. And I know the power of internet very much, myself. So
actually,
yeah.
What did your wife think after all this? I mean, like, you use your own money, or what is it?
Yeah, my wife think that if I'm rich, I might most probably give away all my money.
Oh, right, okay.
She's probably absolutely correct.
She actually knew that I would actually do that for someone, regardless of background or race or whatever, because I've been living such life consistently, and before I joined the company, way before, when she met me, she knew that that's just me. I do that for people who are weak and have problems and all.
Yes, you can take what's the saying? You can take the man out of the white collar, but you can never take the white collar out of the man. Yeah. Terrible. Anyway, gosh, I felt actually quite choked up. You talking about that, about sort of that, remembering that sort of honor and connection. And I for one believe in serendipity and a lot of things. But so what is this gentleman's name?
His name is Alistair, Elestr, Alistair Muhammad Sofian.
Okay, so Alistair started work on that Friday, and he went home to a safe space.
Yes.
with money for food. I'm sure he was gobsmacked, and he was probably wondering, like, what's going to happen? Are these serial killers or something? Because to have this level of kindness in this day and age is very rare. So how long has he been working for you now? And
He has been working for, I think, more than 2 weeks right now. So right after he started work, the second round MCO started, right? So the car wash has to be suspended. So we sort of like struggle, because why? But the moment car wash stopped, the staff would go without job.
Right.
Okay, so the current pump attendant is more than enough people. Reason because there's hardly any vehicle, in a day. So if I would hire people, it will incur costs on the company. The sales are already falling. But of course, in looking at the situation, is that we are not in a dire situation still. We're still able to break even in the end of the day, because there is losses. So I appeal to the management and talk to my boss. So I say, why don't we allow them to go on rotation, since there is 2 guys on car wash bay, so they can go on rotation. Means each week, each person can work at least 3 days, minimum 3 days.
Right.
So in the 3 days, they have money for food. That's at least they can look after themselves in a way. Yeah. So
that's
he was a good worker when he was doing the car wash.
He's very hardworking, and he paid attention. I took him around and taught him some of the basic things he need to do, some of the safety rules, some of the SOP. So he's pretty quick to pick up things, and he take initiative in cleaning up the places. And I just tell him, I say, when you come to the station, if you see things are not in place, you just take the liberty and go ahead and clean up, sweep it up, and put things in a place, so, and clean the toilet, and every 1 hour go and just make sure the toilet is clean, and so on. There's a lot of maintenance work need to be done. Yeah, so he's doing good. I really love him to continue to work for me. That's how I look at it.
And otherwise, outside of sort of work, how is this young man that you first met on that Friday, that fated Friday, and how is he doing in general today?
He is a lot happier right now. I would say that there is that he can see from his eyes that he is at peace. He have food. There were lots of donation that comes in. Until I say stop, I don't take any more donation for him. And there were items that people purchased from Shopee. Items were coming in. But of course, I told them, I said, look, there's a lot of things that this guy is going through. Thank you for the kind gesture. I think what he needed more right now is somebody to journey with him, help him recover. So I begin to ask questions periodically. I don't sit him down and trying to investigate and try to dig things out. I just ask him periodically. I say, how's the family? Can you tell me more about this? Can you tell me more about that? And giving a lot of space, and visited him in his the place that he lived. So just the other day, I found a new room, which is about less than 100 meters away from the station. Just a walking distance. I can see his room from where my station is. So I said, why don't you move to a nearer location where you can walk to the station, and so it'll be easier for me to get in touch with you. Yeah, so I think generally he's I think emotionally wise, he's a lot more stable. He look calm, he look happy. Although he wear a mask, I can see him smiling. From his eyes, I can see him like he's secure. But they were actually things in his family that he told me about. So I sort of help him to process.
Okay.
Which
so,
is, yeah.
I mean, most people wouldn't take a risk like this.
Yeah.
But you wanted to help this man so badly. I wonder if you could tell us what you saw in him that perhaps other people wouldn't have noticed?
When I see him, right, I actually reminded of myself that I have been in such a state. All I need is somebody to give me a chance.
Right.
All right. So, but of course, in calculating the risk, I will only hire him as a car wash workers and a pump attendant. Okay. So the risk is still manageable for me. Okay. And so because I have attended to people who are actually a lot more difficult compared with this guy. So to me, it's not hard. It's not hard for me to do that. Yeah, because when I see him, I see myself. I say, look, if somebody could give me a chance, I would want to change. I would want to have a better life. So I think Muhammad deserved that. Begin with, of course, when you mention to somebody you're homeless, then it's quite difficult for people to process. People will start thinking that why you become homeless, it must be something you have done and so on and so forth.
Right. Yeah. The stigma is still.
Yeah. So
huge,
I would want to leave that aside first and deal with it later. So that's why I was kind of reluctant to post it on Facebook. My team, my media team were asking me, can you do a write-out? Can you provide us his picture? I said, no. My boss keep telling me, Les, when are you going to get the story out? We want to post. I said, no. And it was like days I was just like procrastinating. I was just delaying because I said, look, if we post it on Facebook, we don't know what things will catch up with him. We do not know what this guy have gone through,
Right, protecting him. Yeah.
I said, can you imagine if you were trying to start things all over? You were in a horrible shape, and next thing, there were people looking for you, or you are in some kind of trouble. I don't know. Not that I'm trying to protecting somebody who have done wrong or what, but I think that not now.
Everyone deserves a chance to restart afresh in private before they. Yeah.
Here, so it's just trying out the first day, and here I am.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
So after a couple of days, I sort of agreed. Then I give them a kind of a skeleton point form in the what I call it, the things that have happened that took place. So I give them roughly what's happening. So my admin guy, write out his story and posted it online. And next thing you know, it gone viral. And we were at home. I was telling my wife, how now the story gone so fast. And the next day, the media came to the station with cameras and crew to interview me. I say, whoa, this is.
What have I done?
What have I done?
Yes. The Kraken.
So Muhammad was there. So I was like very careful. I say, look, Muhammad, I sort of share a story online, and it has gotten on so fast, and people are coming here to see you. So if you don't feel comfortable to answer their question, you can just tell me. Okay, and you don't have to answer every questions that they ask. So they came and did I think Malacca hari ini, and with all the other crew, and subsequently there were other internet portal reported this incident, and there were Caltex take note of this, and Caltex came in and sponsored, make a donation.
Oh, that's good. I thought they came in and they said, no, what are you doing? No, okay, the sponsor is okay.
So I was kind of worried because why? Because he mentioned the word Caltex. So I mean, they were very understanding and very supportive on this effort. So they said, Les, we want to be part of it. So they make a donation, and there were another group of people who saw this news, insist that they want to make a donation. I say, okay, I accept that. Then I think there's a bank call up. A bank, I think the vice president of Bank Rakyat call up and say they want to send somebody, they want to send a big gun to my station. So another manager show up, bank manager show up, say, hey, we have zakat money for him. And it was so sweet to know that they were actually not just only companies, but also individual who contacted me. I have my phone number in a report, right? So they contacted me and they said they want to do this, they want to do that. So I was like carefully taking note of every other people who wanted to do something, and told them, this is what we can do, this is what we shouldn't be doing. Given this is my previous experience working with people with such situation, and also some of the information I'm not in a position to disclose is to protect him. I think it's not fair for me to disclose everything that I come to know.
Exactly. It's not your story necessarily to tell, right?
I only review what is needed, and what is not, I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Now he's working with me. So some of his personal needs will be monitored by me personally. Okay.
Actually, Les.
Yeah. Yes.
This is not the first case you've helped before, right? Have you ever been burnt by someone that you've tried to help before?
Backfired, he means.
Yes.
And yet you continue to help, because most people, they're like, once bitten, twice shy. I'm not going to do it again, but you continue to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess in this thing, it's like, what is your advice to Malaysians who generally would never take a chance or have been burnt before on helping a stranger?
Okay, this is the approach. If you want to help somebody, when you approach the person, when you help the person, you shouldn't expect something, or the person should behave certain way or follow your directives or to change overnight. I help you just because I want to help you, and that's it. Then you won't feel that you've been cheated, you've been scammed. I think that
makes sense, actually, when you're doing it for the sake of
there was once, like, I was traveling, and many years ago I was traveling to Kuala Lumpur to do my studies in the Bible school. I was robbed by somebody.
Oh no.
Okay, I was robbed. The person scammed me and took my money, and I was left stranded in the night at Pudurai, I can imagine. So I called up a friend. He came and picked me up. The guy who took my stuff, he left me with 5 ringgit. Okay,
that was kind of him. What a weird thief.
Okay, I can't even take a cab with 5 ringgit.
That's true.
I need to make my way to PJ. So my friend came and picked me up and put me up in his home for a night. The next day, when I shared this with my lecturer told me, said, Les, thank God you're not the one who do this. You still have something to give to someone. Well, that actually opened up, my mind to say that, when somebody do that to you, it must be in a dire situation. They're so desperate. They want to lie to you. They want to scam you of your resources. But of course, it's always like within the calculated risk kind of
bracket.
Yeah. So you cannot like forever and ever the person keep coming. Of course, you need to weigh upon yourself that if you want to do that for somebody, don't want to think too much, because it will stop you from moving. But always think a moment. But it could be one kind gesture. It can change somebody's life instantly.
Right.
Or for that instant. So you would know. To me, it's no big deal. Somebody have done that for me in the past. They've given me a second chance so many times. So why wouldn't I? When I give to help somebody out and do something within my ability, my capacity to do so. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. You are somebody who has had a very, very, very interesting life, and all of some of your experiences have sort of crafted the kind of man that you are today, that still continues to do this work.
Yeah.
And you seem like someone who is constantly learning. So I wonder whether or not this experience of helping someone right now during COVID has taught you anything different than what you know already.
I think from the Muhammad position, right, it's like in the pandemic situation, you are left with almost zero option. Okay, there were people who were just coming to my stage asking for a job, and they were like asking me unbelievable questions. I want this, I want that, I don't want to do this, I want to do that. So from a perspective as a person who looking for job, you must hanging on to the job, whatever you've been given. Right? The other day somebody asked me, I want to quit my job. I say, why? because my boss cannot hire me full day and he's only willing to pay me half day. I say, then go with it half day, just work half day. What's wrong? You know, I scolded the person, you know, I say, what's wrong? It's just work half days. At least you have some money for food and pay rent.
Desperate times, right?
From a business point of view, I think what we need to think about is that in the difficult time like this, we always must make room for the community. We always must make room for CSR, as I call it, right? To care for people who are not just only within the company, the business that you're handling, but also think about out there who are outside your company, people who are in difficult times, you know. They were actually one particular grapefruit rider came to my station. She's a single mother. She delivers food. And I came to know that she's one of the first Grab female driver in Malacca, a rider, you know. And I was like so taken back by her resilience and her courage. And I always went out, when I see her, you know, roll into the station, I just very curious, walk up, says, hey, why you do this? You know, so I have to feed my family. My husband is no longer with me. I need to do this and do that. Wow, I say I'm so impressed by your you know, that your ability to do that, you know, as a woman. I say salute. I say today's petrol is on me. And she rolled in a couple of times, and whenever I see her, I get a chance, I say, look, today petrol, it will be on me, you know, I'll pay for you. And that's what we do. That's what we ought to do as business owners, you know, to think about not just only ourselves, but really, you know, so many people coming to the station asking for a job. There must be something really wrong that's going on out there. People were just knocking a door, walking straight to the office and say, I want a job. Could you please hire me? You know, so as a company, of course, the media asked me, is it right for companies to do this, to retrench, to cut down? I say, look, I'm not in a position to comment because the bigger company, they have a bigger burden to carry, right?
Yeah.
But as for me, I think we are manageable still. We're still allowed to open. Our business still running. It's just that the sales are falling. We still have something with us. So people came in to put petrol, and there were other homeless who came to the station. We give them bread. You know, they take bread. Just choose whatever you want. Take the bread. You want drink, we give you a drink. At least something lah. You know, so I don't think it's too difficult to do that. If we all can look out for somebody in a small way, from time to time, I will buy food stuff from my neighbor who is an elderly lady, just a different floor. She will call me up and say, Les, would you please buy bananas for me? Would you tapao for me? I said, sure, why not? I say, you don't go out, please don't go out. Let me do the work because I have to go out myself, right? I have to go back to the station. So along the way, I can just pick it up and deliver to her doorstep. How difficult it can be. All right. If we can do that for every other people that we know, since we're going out, make full use of the trip so that we can reduce the rise of the COVID-19, also to spread love, you know, and warmth in times like this.
Yeah.
I thought when Asha asked you what have you learned, I thought you're gonna say always ask the wife first.
Yeah, of course. We have to. There's certain time you don't have right then there to ask your wife, but my wife will support my my judgment on such a incident. In fact, she knew that I would know exactly what to do, and I will not put the company at risk or in any sense or in a questionable position. You know, so I have common sense, you know, in a way that I wise enough to make certain decisions right there and there. Yeah.